Welcome. I'm Addie D. Hilster, and we're recording today at Spiral Path Yoga Center. And we're doing a class that's designed to help us work on the continuity of our mindful presence through different activities, movement, stillness, motion and activity, and rest. And we'll do this by looking at how we relate to our external sensing and finding an internal anchor within the body. And I found that when I'm more connected to this inner awareness, I tend to be less reactive. I tend to sense what's going on internally before it manifests in some kind of external reaction. And being connected to inner awareness can also really help us just take better care of ourselves. And when we have that inner connection, there's a way that staying connected to the body can help us just live more from our deeper intentions and less from the surface. So we'll do a practice today where we start standing. We're going to come up to standing in a moment and do a little checking in, and then that'll flow into some walking meditation and then some yoga poses from there, and we'll see how this connects, see how this lands. So let's go ahead and stand. Let's come all the way up to mountain pose, as we call it in yoga, or just simply a standing meditation posture. So you can have your feet comfortably apart and resting underneath you so that it feels supportive. You feel this good connection to the ground that's holding you, and also maybe some kind of upward lifting as the bones stack and give you a foundation. And then you can relax around that foundation, that structure a little bit. You might just close your eyes. If your balance doesn't allow closing the eyes, just look ahead at nothing in particular, kind of a soft gaze. Helps you keep your balance, but doesn't offer too many distractions. Taking your first few breaths here, just standing. Notice as you're standing, where is your attention right now? It's been a busy day. The mind could be any number of places. Or maybe your attention is with something in your environment, something you're hearing in the next room or around you. And if you start to listen mindfully, you can use this hearing as part of your practice. Noticing sounds, not making them a problem, just letting them be there in the background. And sometimes you notice that you have a reaction to a sound, that it's unpleasant, or more neutral, or even like some of the sounds. Let's start to bring our attention more inward to the body, noticing the feeling of the breath moving. There's a sense of expansion somewhere in the body with the inhale, or opening, and with the exhale, a sense of release, kind of falling back towards the center. Letting the body pulse in that way with the breath. And then feel your way down the legs, down through those bones and muscles that are holding you here. Maybe you can feel what muscles are on and engaged to help support this position. And can you feel the feet, this platform of the feet that you're standing on? The way that they're making contact with the floor, where there's more or less weight in the foot, toward the front or the back, the left or the right. Really allowing ourselves to become present here in the stillness of a standing meditation. And we can access this presence as well through movement, just by connecting to the same sensations in the body, but as they shift and change a little bit more actively and rapidly as the body changes position. So let's walk back to the back end of the mat, one end of the mat, and come back to your standing pose. And we'll do a little walking meditation just up and down the length of the mat. And if you have a little more space to go beyond your mat, you can make your walking lane a little bit longer, but a mat will do. So if you have at least a mat lane, you can do some walking meditation. And we'll keep this practice quite simple, just intending to stay connected with the feeling of the body in motion, just like we were connecting in stillness. So feel the feet, feel the legs. And then shift a little more to one side and lift the other foot. Feel it move through space as you step, and then feel as it places on the ground. There's a shift of weight, there's lifting, there's moving through space, and then there's that placing. It's really slow walking, feeling all the sensations, taking a step, muscles contracting, and then contact when you hit the floor. And then there's that lifting of the back foot, shifting, lots of muscles balancing you here, placing, lifting, moving, placing, shifting. When you get to the end of your walking lane, you can simply turn. Just turn your feet, turn your body mindfully. Coming back to face your mat. Feeling into the feet, feeling into the legs. And we'll keep going with this for a few minutes, just letting this be a moving mindfulness practice of walking meditation. So shift to one side, lifting, feel that placing, the weight transfers, you're shifting, lifting, placing, going at your own pace, working with this on your own for a few moments, and we'll practice together. Being really curious about this feeling of movement as it's really slowed down. Walking is such an ordinary activity, but we don't often feel it in quite this detail and depth. We're walking right now as if these sensations, this experience is all there is in the world. This is it. You might sense the different textures that you're on under your feet. You're stepping on and off your mat. Or if there's places in the room where it's warmer or cooler. Really letting in these details. Even in this simplicity, there's a real richness to experience. It has everything to do with how we pay attention. Anytime you feel a little automatic or disconnected, just pause for a few moments. Go back to your standing posture. Feel down into the feet, the legs, the breath. Just being here. You can continue with your walking when you feel a little more grounded and present. Just alternating back and forth from movement to stillness. Developing that continuity of our mindful presence. As we walk for just a few more moments, let's start to consciously let in a little more of the external environment. Our eyes are open, our ears are open. So as we're walking, we can see shape and color and light and know that we're seeing. See your foot as it's coming forward and you're stepping. Staying connected to the feeling of the foot and the leg, the physical sensations. We can have that internal anchor and know that we're seeing. There are sounds in the room, or a sound bubbles up every once in a while. into your field of hearing, you can include that. So just knowing that you're hearing, and yet you're still staying anchored continuously to this feeling experience in the body. When you get to the top of your mat, just pause. Come back to that standing meditation, mountain pose. Feel yourself arrive there. And we'll take this into some yoga asana, some posture practice, and see if we can have the same sense of presence within the movement, connection to all the physical sensations, staying right there, even as different elements of experience become noticeable. Other sounds, other movements through space, stronger sensations, whatever it is that comes up. So we'll start with a few half sun salutations. I'm going to grab my blocks here, and if that's helpful to you, you could do that as well, just to help out with my forward fold. And then coming back to mountain, feel the feet on the ground. Feel yourself inhabiting the legs and your long spine and your shoulders and your arms. And then let's inhale and circle the arms up. And exhale and hinge forward. Long spine coming down so hands rest on blocks or floor or shins. And the knees could be a little bit bent. And let's inhale and rise up halfway. Find a little more length. And then exhale, fold back in. And then from that ground and the feet, let's inhale and rise and arms reach up. And exhale, bring the palms together right down the center. And then again, circling the arms up. What do you feel as you do that? And exhale, hinge, coming forward, maybe feeling the weight in the feet. Inhale, rise up halfway, lengthening. Exhale, folding in. Maybe it's the backs of the legs that are talking to you. And then strong feet, strong legs. Inhale, rise up. And exhale, glide the palms together down the center line. Let's do a few more. Inhale, circling the arms up, letting that breath flow in. Exhale, hinging forward, noticing sensations in the lower body. Inhale up halfway, find some length and space. Exhale, fold back in, present here. And then strong legs and feet. Inhale, rise, circling back up. Exhale, bring the palms together, right down the center. And one more time, inhale, bringing arms up. Exhale, coming forward. What do you feel? Inhale up halfway, just like in the walking meditation. And exhale, folding in all these movements. Inhale, reaching up, woven together by our awareness. Exhale, palms come down the center. Let's pause there. So we'll transition our way down to the mat here by inhaling and reaching up. Exhale, hinge, come forward, and bend your knees enough to take your hands down. feel your hands touch the floor. Step back to down dog. So one foot back, then the other. From your strong palms, lengthen through the shoulders, reach back. You can bend one knee and then the other. Just kind of moving around a little bit, maybe coming up on the toes. Feeling these ebbs and flows of sensation in the body. There's stretch sensation, there's effort, there's contact with the floor, there's movement with the breath. And then let's bring the knees down, and we'll come to sitting. And we'll do a few poses from here, actually a little series of 3 poses, and we'll repeat them twice. So we'll do 2 rounds, and we'll experiment with these and shift our focus a little bit in the 2 rounds and see how it maybe helps you find some different ways of relating to the internal and external experiences of the pose. So if you'd like to have a blanket to sit on underneath your sitting bones here, I didn't grab one for myself today, but that's often really helpful in sitting to assist the lengthening of the spine, positioning of the pelvis. So just know that that's very invited if it's helpful to you. And the first time through these 3 poses, we'll focus a little bit more on the details of technique and alignment and positioning and what the pose maybe looks like a little bit more externally. So let's start with staff pose. So we'll stretch the feet forward and straighten the knees and balance on your sitting bones. So finding basically a 90-degree angle here. So reach forward through the legs, press forward through the balls of the feet, squeeze the legs together, and see how tall you can get through the spine, lengthening up there. But shrug the shoulders up and then drop the shoulders down, softening any excess there. And see if you can balance the head at the top of the spine. So finding your long and strong staff pose, Dandasana. And take a few breaths there. And then we'll go into Lord of the Fishes twist, Ardha Matsyendrasana. So let's bend the left knee and step it over the right thigh. And again, sit tall just like in staff. And maybe take your hands around this bent knee, and not to pull super hard, but just to give you a little bit of support as you lift. And take in a breath and exhale from deep inside. Turn, take the rib cage around, and then take the left hand behind you, and the right hand can just kind of hold around the outside of the knee. Reaching still through that right foot and using that leg energy to help you elongate the spine, to stay connected to the core, and to take that all the way up through the neck. So you're sitting really tall. And maybe you turn to look over the back shoulder for a few breaths. Nice. Let's inhale and circle back around and stretch this left leg forward, coming back to staff. And then we'll bend the right knee and step it over. So we're just creating a foundation here in both legs. So we have the elongation of the left leg and the pressing forward through the foot. And here in the right, it's helpful if this foot can be grounded as well. And that also helps us to be active in this leg. So it's not just the hands pulling the knee, but this leg can lift itself towards you as well. And we're using the leg energy to help support and lengthen the spine. Shoulders don't have to be tense and shrugged. Tops of the shoulders can be soft. Take in a breath. And as we exhale, from your deep internal muscles, turn yourself towards the right. The right hand will come behind you Left hand can wrap around the leg. Staying open across the collarbones, lifting tall. And maybe you turn your head over the back shoulder for a few breaths. And just notice how you feel in this pose, where your attention is. And let's inhale and come back around. Stretch the foot forward, back to staff. And our third pose in this little sequence is locust. So we're gonna flip around onto the belly and come all the way down so that the tops of the feet are on the mat and the forehead will be on the mat and the arms will be by your sides like this, so palms can be up. And then let's reach back through the feet. So elongate there through the legs. Anchor the tailbone down a little bit towards your heels. So you can create a little bit of space in the low back that way. And then take your two shoulder blades towards each other in the back. So the tops of the shoulders start to lift off the ground, and then let the hands lift. And then from your long feet, lengthen the chest forward. Start to lift into locust. Chest is rising, head went with it. And then maybe lift the legs, lifting the thigh bones up off the ground. Taking a few breaths, refining any details here. And then let's exhale and lower back down. Make a pillow with your forearms and just rest for a moment. Release any held breath. Then let's lift back up and come to staff pose again. So we'll go through those same 3 poses one more time. And this time, my goal will be to try to cue you in a less technical way that is more emphasizing the felt sense of the pose. So feeling the body as it's responding in those shapes and being a little bit more receptive to what the body is signaling to us, rather than the way we do poses where we emphasize is what we want the body to do. Kind of, we're receiving now instead of being quite so directive. And now that you've done the poses once, you can trust your sense of correct alignment and just be a little more experimental on this second round and see how that feels. There's a way in which we can emphasize technique and alignment and proper form so much in our practice that the poses become all about refining and working on that little thing that the teacher once told you you needed to work on. And that can become a little bit of a fixation that stops us from actually sensing the body more deeply. So for this round, same poses, let's see if we can come into that receptive mode, like with the walking meditation, where we're just feeling what happens when the foot touches the ground or when we elongate the spine, and just no expectations. So let's reach the feet forward into staff, coming into that. So just like before, the legs are active and they're reaching out long. See if you can feel each of your sitting bones plugging into the ground, contact that's there. And also feel that in the heels. And then as you're pulling the 2 legs together, feel the top of the thigh, the inner thigh starting to light up and work. That warmth, that engagement. And then let that ripple up into the spine, feeling space there or support there. And take a breath, feeling the expansion and the release. Noticing anything else that seems apparent as you do the pose this way. Then let's take the left knee and bend it and step it across the right leg, finding that foundation again. Sitting bones are plugging into the ground. We can feel that effort as this left leg starts to lift up towards the torso. Feel maybe space inside as we respond back with lifting the chest, lengthening the leg. Taking in a breath. When the body feels ready, let it start to turn. Exhale as you're turning. Left hand comes behind you. With no particular agenda for how far to turn or what to do with the head. See if you can feel the breath in the body and let the body tell you what to do next. Making little organic adjustments, but they're based on the felt experience of the pose, not a conceptual sense of alignment. And let's inhale, rotate back around, and stretch this left leg forward again. Let's bring the right knee up and step it across. Again, finding the base for this Lord of the Fishes twist. Finding that stability in the legs. What does that feel like? Lengthening through the spine. Going for support, space, balance of structure and ease. With an exhale, rotate. Coming into your twist. And allow the body to signal to you. Respond to those signals, how much to twist, where to shift, how to lengthen, where there needs to be a little more breath, where there needs to be a little calming or soothing. It's a dynamic process. Inhale, come back around and reach that leg forward. So the last one is locust. Coming back to repeat locust. I gave you a lot of technical information, detail before on how to do locust. So you know the shape, you know how to do it. Let's see if we can really dive into the felt sense of it this time. So coming into that position, tops of the feet on the ground, forehead on the ground. Find elongation. Find an anchor, dropping the tail towards the heels. As you're lifting the shoulder blades and lifting the arms, what do you feel in the back body? Is there effort? Is there heat? Is there a sense of tautness, strength? Let the chest lift, feeling those railroad tracks of muscle down each side of the spine, holding you up here. And let the legs lift, bringing the thigh bones up. What do you feel? Allow the body to adjust using its own instinct. Letting the alignment emerge more from the inside out. And let's exhale and release. Can support the head here with the hands. And maybe shimmy the hips a little side to side. Feels good to do that. Take a few breaths and just feel the body letting go of that pose. And then let's switch over to our back. bring the legs around, come down to constructive rest pose. We can take the arms out wide here and have the feet on the floor, soles of the feet, knees bent. And as you exhale, drop your knees towards one side. And then inhale and lift the knees up through center. And exhale, take them over to the other side. So the feet are just rocking on the ground. Inhale through center. Keep that going at your own pace for a few moments here. It's releasing the residue of that last pose and letting yourself be guided by what you're feeling in the body. Finding that anchor of sensation, even though sensation's always changing. Like the breath, it's omnipresent. It's always there to connect with again. And then coming back to center, let's take the right outer ankle and cross it over the left thigh. Have this foot flexed. And let's bring the legs up towards us and reach between the window of the leg here and hold around the back of that left thigh, keeping the shoulders calm, keeping the neck calm. Let's take a few breaths in eye of the needle. In stillness here, receiving the sensations that are arising for you, maybe in the hip, maybe in the back body. And let's release the leg, stretch that right leg out for a moment. Ran into my blocks there. And let's bring the right knee up so the foot's on the floor, and we'll cross the left outer ankle over the right thigh. Left foot is flexed for now. And we'll bring the leg up and reach between this window of the legs. See if you can hold around the back of the thigh. If that's hard to reach, you could have a strap around the thigh. Or, speaking of the blocks, you could put a block down and let the block hold your foot and let your arms be by your side. So whatever variation of this you find, let's let go of the outer form for a moment, the logistics of the pose, and tune into what the body has to say about it. Just that felt sense of this stretch, of the body resting here on the floor. And then let's release and uncross. And from here, we'll come into our final relaxation pose, Shavasana, or if you prefer to think of it as a reclining meditation, that's really what it is. So stretch the legs out. If you want a little more support, if you have a blanket you want behind your head, or blanket or bolster underneath your knees, that would be really welcome here. Very invited to make the body comfortable. And then find your neutral resting shape and release the effort from the body, coming back to stillness. You notice the sounds in the room around you, the external environment is still here. And allow that to be there. Not having an argument with any of the sounds. And then just letting yourself soften a little bit more. Letting the eyes go. Any sounds or sights or thoughts can be in the background for now as you settle into the feeling of the body. contact with the floor, the flow of the breath. Resting in this presence that you've cultivated during this practice. And ideally, if you can, stay here for a few minutes, 5, 10, 15 minutes, depending on the time you have available. And I'll leave you here. Thank you for your presence and your practice today, for joining me in this class. Namaste.